Alrighty. Welcome to the semifinals. Ignore the title. It does say round one. It's no longer round one anymore. Both these fellas have advanced their way, rightfully so, into the semifinals. This has already been mentioned, but yeah, it's the battle of the underscore brothers. Of course, I always tend to notice those things because I've got a underscore next to my name. And I was typing this one up, and I kept thinking Fleetwood Mac for some reason. We've got Plywood versus Mac, and that's a corny joke. Don't laugh at that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's also what I'm calling the subscriber wars. I know that the last race, Mac had a whole bunch of support from his subscribers, his followers up there in chat, and we're definitely expecting that again today. And no less so would I expect any less from Plywood subscribers as well. We should be seeing plenty out of them today. This should be a real big battle, and I'm very pleased to co-commentate this one with my good friend Scout Ponage. How you doing today, my friend?
Hey man, I'm good. Nice to actually have some time to be able to watch one of these streams, let alone commentate on one.
Yeah, you asked me a while ago. We finally worked you one in.
Yeah.
It's actually been no shortage of good commentators so far in this tournament and the last one. But yeah, we had spent quite a bit of time doing those Saturday races. Got to know each other pretty well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think you're really going to enjoy this, and I think the viewers are going to enjoy it as well.
As long as we don't have a repeat of the lacquered chopsticks incident, we'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll try not to mention that one. Bit of an inside joke. You'd have to be there. But yeah, we got Plywood, we got MackMcD. What can you tell me about these guys?
Well, Plywood used to be a part of the Saturday races with us, and that was always a good laugh. And really seen races like Plywood that would just coming into Metal Gear Solid 2 really start to bud. And looking at Plywood now, you can tell he's a really strong racer. So, and I haven't actually watched a full run of Max yet, but I can tell from some of the times he's posting in MGSR that he's a strong runner. And like you said, they both got really strong followings. I think it's going to be a really interesting race today.
Yeah, I like to handicap these races, but this one's really a coin flip for me. I can't even choose a winner here, and I hope that we get a really close one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, going into this, I think Plywood is more of an MGS1 runner. He's more of a Silent Hill kind of guy. He's I know he's getting into Parasite Eve. He's got kind of a lot on his plate. And MGS2 has always been kind of a side project, but I know that from at least tuning into his streams that he's really been putting in the work. He's got the reverse bomb odor down. It's going to be a question on whether or not he's going to go for that lethal vamp strat, which could be potentially time saving for him. But if he messes it up, it could cost him some time. But Plywood's just one of those guys who I know has got something up his sleeve at all times. He may not even show that to his viewers on his stream. He could be just grinding that off stream like he did with that Ocelot strat back in the MGS1 tournament. So yeah, no stranger to the semifinals. I don't know how many times I've interviewed Plywood after these races, but really just a consummate contestant. We expect just the best effort out of him. And let's go ahead and let these guys know. I know they've been waiting for me for over an hour to get back from dinner and get going. So I know they're chomping at the bit. Let's see. Go ahead and make sure these guys are ready to go.
Race bot's counting down.
All right, and we're off. Yeah, sure enough, they were ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And good on them.
Like you said, they've been roaring to go for this for over an hour now.
And not just any race. This is for the finals. These guys are whoever wins this one moves on to the finals.
That's going to be another interesting race as well.
All right, let's.
So straight off the bat, what can you tell me are the keys to getting through Tanker?
For Tanker, a lot of it is basic movement. Like, the bane of my existence in Tanker is camera roll. I can never do it. But obviously, good movement, you can do it quite easily. There is a trick to it, which is rolling on the line, which you'll probably see coming up in a few seconds. But apart from that, good Olga, don't need to loop her. I think it's, 3 seconds slower? We don't loop her, so it's not a run killer. but it's nice to have.
Yeah, and kind of hard to get on normal, as you're not able
Mm.
to get a real proper distraction on her with her vision.
Yeah. There we go. Plywood messed up the camera roll there, and
Yeah,
so did Mac.
it looks like they both had some trouble with that camera.
It is one of those things that's so easy to do, but so easy to mess up at the same time.
Always worth going for on normal, though, because as
Yeah.
you've seen, all they dealt with was just a little bit of negative damage boost.
It's like, personally, I got sold by that camera so many times. I can actually get into Olga just as fast if I get an alert. Because as soon as you open that door to go to the stairs, as long as you roll into the guard and get damage boosted. So it's actually about the same time, if not slightly faster.
Like Plywood getting into the Olga fight just air faster than Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I've been with the unit since I was born.
Yeah, both guys getting right Olgas.
Yeah.
Victory were my parents. The unit is my own. We've shared everything, all the bad and all the good.
Oh,
Yeah,
basically
nice
neck and neck.
nice clean Olga out of both these guys. I don't think they have much to complain about there. Yeah, we expect this one to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Now in the first round, Mac had a nearly flawless. You know, I don't know if a lot of guys like to use this word flawless when we talk about tanker, but he had a pretty darn good tanker. You know, you could probably expect a 2-spot camera out of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, camera rolls, the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah. It's like, again, like I was saying just now, tanker is pretty straightforward. It's just a lot of little movements you've got to get down to get it to go, as you said, flawlessly.
As
It's
they
just
say,
a lot of
easy to
little
learn,
things
difficult to
do.
master.
Exactly. It's a lot of little things to do.
Freeze.
Plywood goes with, actually, they go with the exact same strat there. Hold up the guard, shoot the camera. No drama there. Yeah, I know you could probably speak to it, but getting through tanker cleanly sort of eases those nerves, especially in a race. And, you know, a lot of guys who drill tanker tend to have some resets on Olga.
Yeah.
So I'm sure both these guys feeling a little bit easier.
Well, a lot of people, when they start running, I know I did it, and I know a few others did it, was they focused everything onto getting Olga loop, and people just resetting due to Olga loop, not getting Olga loop, when you lose 3 seconds if you do it right, and it's always better to just grind out the alternate Olga just in case. Like, if you're in a race environment like this and you don't get Olga loop, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, I think it's arguable, but in a racing environment, I almost prefer the right Olga because, you know, the shots are all pretty predetermined.
Like me personally now, I can do right Olga a lot easier than I can looping Olga because it's happened to me that many times, and I've got it. Well, I had it down that well that I preferred it for Olga not to loop because I could deal with it better.
Yeah, when you get her in the loop and she goes left, you're kind of, you know, you're not looking down the sight on this gun. You're looking at a red dot and a laser dot, and that dot you have to sort of point between those shelves back there, and it really doesn't have anything to go against. So you sort of start by pointing at the shelf and then lift up a little bit or pull down depending on how you want to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're sort of on a blind shot there, so occasionally you will end up missing.
I would just pulling ahead here now though, going into guard rush. Oh, and Mac got an alert in the holes.
This is
and Dexy, sorry.
Pretty unfortunate because it's going to be a slow, painful death unless he can brute force his way through.
Yeah, he's just
on
got
normal.
He
got plenty of health, but yeah, you're going to get kicked down quite a bit on the way there.
Yeah.
Occasionally, you get to that handle and die right before you get through.
Yeah.
These guards are pretty much just relentless.
All right, he's through now.
It looks like he's gonna get through without a continue, which is real fortunate for him.
Yeah.
He's not going to be sent back. as Plywood wraps up guard rush,
Guard
going
rush.
with lethal strats here.
Yeah.
Curious to see whether or not he's going to go for the ladder glitch. I don't see any reason as to why he won't.
I mean, you can always go against it just for safety reason, but I mean, like, if he goes for it now and fails it, that gives Mac plenty of time
Yeah,
to
he's
catch
got
up.
exactly one USP ammo, which means he can go for it and fail it and not soft lock. And a very clean ladder glitch out of
Nice.
Plywood. He makes his way through hold one, and unfortunately,
no.
sets off. Yeah, you can run underneath that camera or that projector, but yeah, if you turn a little too sharply, what you need to do to hold up this guard, that can happen, and we've certainly seen that. Any MGS2 runners has dealt with that projector. So another clean ladder glitch, and oh my gosh.
No.
See, that's why you got to turn sharp there, and so it's a really tight window near that projector. Strat that has kept me up at night. Among other things in Tanker, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going for safe strats now.
Yeah, like he's just gonna still got the lead. Mac having a tough time grabbing the ladder. It looks like he pulled up dog tags on accident, so he's going back to camera. So that was fortunate take there, but it looks like he made up for it by getting ladder glitch right after.
Yeah.
And
very
looks
clean
like
hold one.
Yeah, real clean hold one. Pulled out the dog tags on accident, but other than that, I think he's got to be pretty happy with that. And whether he knows it or not, he's closed the gap, so he's making up for that that alert that he got earlier on in Tanker.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see what Plywood does. I think he's probably going to go for the 3-spot camera. Mac may be able to make up some time as he makes it cleanly out of hold 2.
Very clean.
Yeah, it looks like Plywood is going to go for the 3-spot camera. We can expect Mac probably go for the 2-spot camera as he did in round 1. Yeah, it looks like Mac is definitely going for the 2-spot camera. This could be risky if he doesn't get the shots right.
It could catch him up though if he does.
Yeah, it looks like he certainly has practiced this.
Mm-hmm.
Plywood going through the upload stage. Tanker here. Plywood with a pair of continues, but he still has a lead.
Mm-hmm. Plywood just having the lead coming out of Tanker.
And good news for Mac, it looks like all of his camera shots counted.
Yep.
Successfully pulled off the 2-spot.
That's the thing with 2-spot is there's such a big window for error, and especially when you're trying to do it as fast as possible, it can be quite daunting. But it's one of those things, if you get it down perfectly, then you're going to save so much time doing it.
Both runners safely making it through the save boss, as we call it sometimes. You can mash you're mashing, and you might mash right through that save screen, and it defaults to yes.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I reminded Plywood in the last stream that just mash start button for those screens when you know the save prompt is coming, because it won't accept that save screen.
Mm-hmm. Now for the acrobatics portion of this television broadcast. We cartwheel all over the place.
This is usually a pretty good feeling for most runners once you get into plant. There's just bomb defusal is kind of like housekeeping.
Yeah.
Very routine stuff, somewhat low risk. At least in most of the strats, EF and F can cause problems. We're probably expecting Plywood to go with the counterclockwise route, where I imagine that. Plywood going with the what we call reverse order.
Yeah.
Bomb disposal, which is clockwise, as he did at least in round 1. And from the interview, it seemed like Mac hadn't quite learned that yet, and so there could be some time save there for Plywood. but it's a riskier path, so there's a chance he could be dealing with some time loss if he doesn't pull it off quite right. You know that Strat D has given some of those runners a fair amount of trouble. I would take it to the elevator first. There's no real wrong way to do this,
No, it's just all timing based.
as long as you don't set off an alert.
Yeah.
The elevator is going to come when it comes.
Wait, I thought the point of normal was to get as many alerts as possible.
Yeah, the run does seem a bit reckless if you're coming from European Extreme. Every time
Yeah.
I mentioned it before, every time I hear the alert sound, it almost makes me scream.
Then you've got me then, but just guess
Yeah.
as many alerts as possible.
Yeah, at least in the big boss run.
Yeah.
It's run over. So we'll see coming up here whether or not he grabs that chaff. Not on the AB bridge, but BD bridge.
Yeah.
BC bridge.
BC.
Yep. AB bridge, it looks pretty easy, but if you step on one of those grates, you can really mess things up because they'll be able to hear that.
AB bridge can be such a hassle, especially with the anti-clockwise route when you're coming back. And you've just got to soak on shafts and nothing else because you basically just have to like, bait him and then roll into him and hope to God you get there fast enough to not trigger an alert.
So far, so good for both runners making their way to Stillman.
Plywood just ahead. He's exiting as Max entering. But again, in a run this size, there's so much that Plywood can do wrong that Mac can capitalize on, and vice versa.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure at this point Plywood is he's made to the semifinals. He's got some pretty fast strats up his sleeve as we watch to see if he picks up the chaffs here.
Oh, Plywood's
Yeah,
always
he
got
almost
something up
went
his
right
sleeve.
past, but yeah, that all but just confirms that he's definitely going to go for it. So we'll be watching his strut D pretty carefully to see if makes any mistakes there. Unfortunately, if these two guys are going in opposite routes, it's kind of difficult to tell you who's in the lead.
Yeah.
Until they've gotten to the final bomb. Yeah, Plywood going into it with about a 1-room advantage. Plywood also probably going to try the lethal vamp strat. That's that god awful strat that these guys are practicing. just sort of surviving the frame leg.
Yeah, he put a lot of practice into that pre-race, so it looks like he's gonna go for it. But that's an interesting thing you said about the RTA lag. That's all it is, because the in-game time goes off the frame timer, so no matter how slow the game gets, the in-game time is about the same speed.
One of the things I kind of like about this reverse route is you actually get to see Snake
Yeah,
in the box
Easter
here
egg.
as he's leaving the Stillman room. And, of course, you can't catch him, but still, nice little Easter egg that actually I really I didn't even know about until they started doing it this route.
Wait, really? You didn't know about the Easter egg?
I've known about most of them, after playing the game for years, and the Plywood makes his way through Strut D. He's gonna see if this is gonna be a holdup. No, he just goes right behind that guard there. Nothing.
God, just totally oblivious.
Don't mind me.
And Plywood sprayed the guard's ankles then, so I don't know. Oh, he's just gonna straight up kill him.
Doesn't seem like that bad of a strategy.
No. Just enough time so the guard upstairs you can get past him before he comes downstairs, so it's fine.
Okay, so he's gonna go. What? Oh, this is interesting. I thought he was going to end the room there, but it looks like he planned that.
Yeah, I think it's because of the guards coming in the other room. They may have seen him. I don't know about if they would have seen him or not on normal, but higher difficulties they would have seen him 100%.
May not have gone according to plan, but a little bit of experience there for Plywood as he knows what to do as a backup.
Yeah.
Really, what kind of
Separates
we talk
runners
about
and
it all the time,
racers.
but having backup plans is huge for racing because a lot of us don't practice backup. We just hit the reset button. Anytime something bad goes and happens, there's no point in continuing the run, at least in a normal speed run.
Like that's one thing I did pride myself on back when we were racing every Saturday was because I was still a new runner at the time. I just put everything into backup strats. So if normal strats went totally wrong in the Saturday race, I could still keep up because I would have strats in place. But now with this new route, I don't have any as of yet. So that's quite concerning.
Yeah, just as we expected, plenty of support for both runners in chat today. Lots of subscribers coming in from Plywood's chat and Max as well.
It is nice to see some of the runners in this community grow, though, because, again, we keep going back to the Saturday races, but back when we used to do those, there wasn't many people collectively. I think there's more people watching each stream individually now than there was watching the races overall back then. So it is really nice to see this community start to gain some traction because it is a really good game in general.
Yeah,
and especially
a
fun to
really
run.
good AGDQ appearance doesn't seem to hurt us hurt all that much.
Exactly.
But yeah, some pretty lonely weekends, but it was us keeping us company. I'm always fond of that.
It was always fun.
Video games are kind of you're meant to play video games with people. What is so great about them, and this is a single player game, so getting us all together and sort of a every Saturday type thing. Saturday it was early as heck for me. I'd be up at 7 a.m. playing MGS2, but yeah, keeping each other company. Always for fun. There was never any trophies or or anything like that, but or rivalries, but yeah, always for fun.
It was always just a good laugh. Like I don't think there was any Saturday race that we had that somebody didn't end up falling off their chair laughing.
Yeah, that was probably about the best part about it.
Yeah, as it wasn't all competitive. It was a right mix between friendly competition and just having a laugh and a joke at the same time, which is really what made those races so much fun.
Mac having just a little bit of trouble with the guards there.
Yeah.
Of course, that alert will go away as he makes his way to the heliport.
Saving grace for any normal runner. The fact that your alert disappears there.
Look like Plywood uses the coolant rise strat, but the next most effective one is to sort of spam the weapon button, which he uses the coolant strat on the way out. That may just be
menuing purposes.
Yeah, maybe he didn't want to do the menu before. I used to do something pretty similar to that. I didn't want to pull out the coolant.
That's the thing. This new route is so well optimized. There's well under half the amount of menus that there was before, and half the items as well. We miss out a key item from the previous route, which was the M9, and favor the SOCOM instead and lethal strats, which is nice to see in a way because the normal route mimicked the European Extreme route because there was nobody really pathing normal until Tyler decided to do it recently. So it is really refreshing to see that this run is now unique to itself and not just a boiled down version of European Extreme.
Yeah, quite a year for MGS2 normal.
Mm-hmm.
Really a lot has developed for it, and like you said, it was heavily based off of the European Extreme route. That was probably where the best information about speedrunning was coming from.
Yeah.
And that, it's always a really good place to start. But yeah, there's these guys who are glitch hunting, route hunting, timing cutscenes between different versions of the game. Really been an interesting year. MGS2, and I know your specialty is kind of in the code side of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, I made the executive decision to myself to take a step back from running and start looking at breaking the game in as many ways as I possibly could. But I was gonna help Tyler on this auto splitter, but I just didn't have time, and it's the same reason why I don't really run or do much with the game nowadays. Is I just simply don't have time, which is unfortunate. But it's nice to see that the game is gaining traction and having new routes, despite me not being able to look into it. Not that I did anything special anyway.
Well, would you say this game's pretty well coded, maybe in comparison to MGS1,
yeah.
where you can go OOB and just kind of run around all over the game?
That is one of the main things that separates this from MGS1, is that there was just too many walkable sections and sections with collision outside of the map, so it just makes out of bounds just absurd. Whereas in this, there's no collision outside of the map, aside from tiny bits from vents. So if you go out of bounds in this map, you will fall into an endless void. So it just makes out of bounds strats basically pointless for MGS2, if there was any. So with this, it's just a case of skill in the fact that you're playing the game in its intended way, sort of, but as well as you possibly can.
Both runners are making their way to the fortune fight. The Plywood in the lead.
Plywood about
Reverse
40 seconds in
bomb
front.
route paid off for him.
Mm-hmm.
Going into it, he had about a room lead. Now he's about a room and a half or so.
Yeah.
Possibly even 2 rooms. Not very scientific, I know, but
about a 20 or 30 second lead.
it's
looking
what
at the bomb timers.
Yeah, it's what we're going off today. Not a lot you can mess up in this fortune fight either, especially on normal.
No, not on normal. The only thing I could say you could consider messing up is burning your box, because that way then, especially in a race, you don't have a backup strat. That's just the strat that goes straight out the windows, running around everywhere in the box.
Nice and easy around that tank there.
There's a lot of different ways to defuse that bomb that I've seen off different people. I think it's Pythonicus bolts over and goes up by where the shaver usually is on hard and expert, and defuses the bomb from there, whereas others go around like Plywood just did.
Yeah, he did that in round 1. He apparently uses it on a normal too.
It is quite an interesting strat, because I don't think anybody actually knows if it's faster or not. I know that I was gonna test it, but I just never got around to it. But it is quite baffling, because it's something that's so out of the ordinary, but could potentially be faster.
I wouldn't say it's game changing. It's not like
It's the same as anything that's found in this game now. It's a case of like a 0.2 or a 0.5 second time save, which every little bit helps to making the run more optimized. But
casually, that's how I defuse it.
Really?
Yeah.
I always do it the way Plywood did. It's the way I've always done it, casually. I can't even remember the last time I played this game casually, though. I really need to do it again.
Plywood using the box strat and Mac using the box strat without the box. Both are waiting for Vamp to make his way down the elevator.
Yeah, again, there's nothing that can be really done to mess this up. As long as you don't die, you're fine. You can take damage, doesn't change anything.
Occasionally a light fixture might drop,
Hmm,
or a barrel can explode.
yeah. That's the one thing that's kind of worrying me about Plywood at the minute, is how close he was standing to that barrel then. Because as soon as the box catches fire, it's done for. Which again, like, I know it sounds like a stupid backup strap, but running around in the box everywhere does help if you get an alert.
Right, because you could also go back up against that wall there
Yeah.
and get yourself, caught flat-footed.
Exactly.
Plywood made it out cleanly. I think he's going to want to pick up this chaff here. Yep, he does.
Yeah.
That's there's a pair of claymores there that are kind of hard to see. To make his way down the stairs and off to the Fat Man fight. Now this route that he takes is fairly straightforward, but he's on a timer here. If he messes this up or gets an alert or somehow dies, it's going to take him all the way back to that elevator, so we want to be fairly tender with what he does here.
Oh, he messed up his menu there.
It looked like he tried to get into the box there.
Yeah.
Taking a
that was
shot.
his menu.
Like it's going to cost him anything.
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't carry.
He'll get to.
He's
Oh, was there? No, that alert
didn't
won't follow him
carry.
because it was only the first millisecond of that alert, but very, very. I gotta imagine his heart's beating there. That didn't really go as
Yeah.
planned. Like you said, he messed up his
He
menu,
pressed
pulled
up
out the
against
sensors.
the door. That's a tiny little mess up. Still a decent chunk of time in front of Mac at the minute, though. He's about 30 seconds in front. So it could all be on this Fat Man.
As Mac does have a pretty clean start F there. He's only about a room behind now.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to go across EF bridge. Oh, a scary roll as he kind of pulled to the right there. I don't know exactly where they put the claymores on EF bridge for normal, but I know they're placed all over them for Euro Extreme.
Yeah, they basically... It's on Euro Extreme, it's about 98% Claymore, 2% Bridge.
Yeah, huh? Say that roll looked like it probably would have put you into a claymore in Euro Extreme. The Plywood underway with Fat Man right now. The lethal version of the strat, which is probably a little easier to pull off.
So slightly faster as well due to the damage Fat Man takes when you're shooting him down. Takes a tiny amount of damage, but stacks up.
If you can get Fat Man to go down near the bomb,
There we
sort of
go.
heads back. Timer gets low, so pretty well timed. Him there as it's time to take out Fat Man and freeze the bomb. Cool 7 seconds on the clock.
Meanwhile, Fat Man's giving Mac the ringer.
Oh, we had to reload. That was pretty unfortunate. So, like he missed the first shot. The follow-up shot's a little easier to hit. Very tight window that first shot has to fall into. The use of the bomb, he handled that pretty well.
Still an overall faster Fat Man time than Plywood, though. Plywood went into that with 7 seconds left on the clock. Mac had about 10 or 11. Just a little bit faster. I think Shell 1 exit will probably be the one that separates them by depending on how optimized each of them has it.
These guys doing their best to match this fairly lengthy set of cutscenes and codec calls with the ninja.
This game is like a movie sometimes with all the codec calls.
Well, most of them are.
Wouldn't change it though. It's still an amazing game.
Still, yeah, very speedrunnable game.
Oh yeah, like I said earlier, it's not one of those games that is absolutely devoid from story and it's just purely broken just for the sake of finishing it as fast as possible. You're still playing through the game with mostly normal routes. You're just doing them as fast as possible and breaking them down to bare bones, which
Yeah,
in my
I think
opinion makes for a good run.
yeah, this game flows well.
Mhm.
You're always doing something. And if you go and you look at VR missions resemble the routing in this game a whole bunch, and that's what I'm sure the developers realized when they were making the game, that this is pretty fun, and it's the reason why VR missions are timed, and they give you points based on how many bullets you used and whether or not you dealt with the enemies lethally or non-lethally.
Exactly.
There's a ranking at the end of every MGS game. Yeah, even in Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5 feels more like a speedrun game than any of them. It's actually broken up into segments. You get a score screen after every segment.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to imagine at that point, Kojima went, this is what's fun about it. What makes it replayable.
Exactly. Like I think
going
I've
back
played through Metal Gear Solid 5 twice.
Yeah, and there's no one way to do anything in any of these games. Why we're still figuring stuff out.
Exactly. This is a fairly new strat as well, going down to the right side and holding that guard up there, actually skipping a cutscene.
That's can be kind of risky. You've got to sort of delay your movement just a little bit. I saw him take a nice wide corner there to make sure it was going to happen. But you can definitely get down those stairs a little too fast.
Yeah.
Plywood's still a little bit nervous about those two guards coming together. You can slide through them, but there's always a chance you could bump into them.
Yeah, and bumping into them is just devastating because it puts you so far behind.
Of course, reason he holds that guard up is because that guard causes a cutscene.
Yeah, Mac bumped him there. I don't know if that's gonna cost him or not. Mac squeezes through the gap though between the guards.
It probably looks tighter than it actually is.
Yeah.
Retinol pattern recognized. You are cleared to enter.
This might cause a caution for him. Maybe?
No, got it out of there.
I don't have the volume up on screen, but it looked
No,
like
I've
they were
got
making
mine up
some
on
calls.
Plywood.
Let's see what kind of aims he gets here. Hopefully a nice easy one.
It's decent aims.
That's no, but it's not what we call god aims or perfect aims. But pretty darn close. They're in a racing environment. I'm sure he's pretty relieved.
Hopefully the same goes for Mac here now. Hopefully he can get decent aims behind him.
Or so good in this tournament. I don't think I've seen anybody cause an alert. It was insta to continue.
Yeah. Oh, Mac getting aims towards the back of the room, unfortunately.
And he pulls it off. That's what you have to do when he's there. He's right in front of the stage guard. The stage guard, if he sees you, over. The other ones, at least they'll have to run over and check you out. But that stage guard's got better vision. As Plywood causes a caution here, he didn't mean to do that. Pretty effective use of the rifle butt there.
This is where I think Plywood will either pull a better lead or Mac can catch up. Oh, he took a shot there, unfortunately. But apart
Goes
from
ahead and he takes out that armored guard, the guy with the bullet shield. And that guy, if he sees you, and they're under caution, you don't have your mask anymore, that's insta alert.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to stay in caution here because that's gonna keep all his timing right. Goes to pick up the sniper rifle. Here in
You
start
can go
F.
for the more ballsy strat in that room and just straight up roll into both the guards and get through. But again, it is very risky.
Yeah. I think most guys will do like a distraction shot to turn his head, but if you miss your roll, then again you're in insta alert, and you're probably gonna have to reset the room once you leave.
Yeah. Matt going for the old school strat and M9 in the guard. Slightly slower, but less attention, if you will. Oh shit! He rolled up the
Oh.
stairs. Oh, that sucks.
Raiden is pretty athletic, but he can't roll upstairs unless there's a flat platform. I guess that makes sense if you think about it.
Kind of. Apart from his head slightly clipping through the floor.
Interesting strat there as he does as he takes that card out with M9 shot that he didn't use first person aim on. Yeah, but it looked like it worked.
That for me is the reason I will always take M9 in a run, because in situations like this, when you're behind, you can easily take down guards by just M9ing them and rolling into them. It's just an instant takedown.
Caution has seeded
Just in time for
for plywood.
Harrier. It's a clean slate on Harrier anyway, fortunately.
Guys like to spend a lot of time practicing Harrier.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing around that fancy 5-shot terminology. First you gotta take care of these bombs.
It is slightly strange to me to still see people spamming through the flag, because it's not exactly a hard shot to hit. You just shoot slightly left at the snake, and you can hit it every time.
Yeah, we should know where that bomb is
Yeah,
now.
by now everybody should know where that sensor is. Did you know if you plug in a second controller, if on the original PS2 version, plugged in a second controller and moved the analog sticks, you can actually move the flag out the way?
Really? Was that
Yep.
by design?
Yes, that was. It was there intentionally. It's just a little Easter egg. So if you're
Oh,
having
boy.
that much trouble with the flag, you can actually move it out of the way.
Got 3, 4, and he got 5. And good on him. Beautiful
Very good
5-shot
Harrier.
Harrier there for plywood. I know he's feeling pretty good about that.
Let's hope the rest of his Harrier goes well.
Word on the street is Mac is pretty good with these bombs. Turns out I have a good source. He is good at the bombs.
Plywood missing a shot there, unfortunately, on Harrier.
I'll let you go out in style. What the?
And another one.
Using nice use of iframes there.
That's a nice Harrier from Plywood. Unfortunately, he missed 2 shots, but it's still good overall. Got the 4-shot, the 5-shot at the beginning.
He does it plywood.
Oh, that was close.
Oh, yeah, that's what happened to him in round 1 too. So he's gonna have to wait just a little extra second here for these guards to reset. Like his grip level should be able to handle it.
That's unfortunate.
And with the experience he has, he doesn't cause an alert there. Good on him.
Yeah.
Strat
Again,
is-
though, with the experience he has, that is a mistake that really shouldn't be happening. But it's nice to see that he's dealt with it. Unfortunately,
yeah,
he had to wait
you got to
a
get
little
there
bit,
as quick as he can and as close to the edge of that rail as he can.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of MGS2 guys can relate to that. It just it happens every once in a while. Actually, that's the second time I've seen it happen to him in this tournament.
Yeah,
But,
second time in as many races.
Yeah, really no skin off his nose because he's still got a pretty healthy lead.
Yeah, he's still got a good lead.
Of course, he's removed the BDU. Whether or not that makes any difference is debatable.
I can guarantee you it doesn't. I can promise you it doesn't. It's merely psychological.
Leave it at that.
And
But
let's not get
you're
into
the coding
debate about
guy.
that.
You're the coding guy. I'll handle that side of things.
No, it is one of the many myths of Metal Gear Solid 2 that just won't die. But if people feel better about taking it off, then who am I to tell them that they can't, you know?
Well, it's kind of like that reverse bomb order. Is just we went in that order because that's what people told us, the fast
Exactly.
way. Until
Nobody
somebody goes
decided
and actually
to say
tests it.
against
And,
it. Which again was one of the unfortunate things adapting the run from European Extreme, because in European Extreme that is the fastest way to do those bombs,
Right.
and
Yeah, I should
nobody
clarify
else thought to question it on normal. You know?
good to be a curious person, especially as a
Yeah,
speedrunner.
exactly. Oh, exactly. As a speedrunner, if you want to better yourself and your game, you should be trying to poke holes every chance you get.
There's no
Which,
better way to give
fortunately,
yourself
that's
an
what people
edge
did.
than to just go out and find one.
Oh, exactly. There's no better way to give yourself an edge over the competition than to go and find your own strats that are faster.
Plywood gets that 180. I know he was having a bit of trouble with that. Sometimes I think if Raiden is swimming just a little too low,
Yeah, you can miss
he
it.
won't pull that 180 off properly. Or sometimes
lot
he'll
of
actually
people-
stand up underwater. Frustrating.
Yeah. A lot of people seem to have trouble with that, myself included. It's just, again, positioning that's so ever so slight, but ever so important at the same time.
Go ahead and refresh Plywood stream. It look like he's having some frame drop problems right now. Same with Mac. Not on my end. 0 dropped frames. That is the reason I do restream these events, because I've got that special internet connection.
Oh, we had a new router recently, and it is absolutely amazing.
So yeah, Plywood is calling you out in chat here about that BDU argument.
About the BDU, everybody calls me out on the BDU
Well,
argument.
we had these guys. It was Raichu and Plywood in the room at the same time. One of them had the BDU on and one didn't. Guess who came out first?
Well, I didn't know which one had the BDU on or not, so.
It was, I can't remember now, but the one with without the BDU, from my recollection, and I called the race.
No, I remember Raichu and myself tested it, and I think we give ourselves a discrepancy of 0.2 or 0.5, just due to human error. And they came up basically the same within that discrepancy for human error, and You know, as far as I'm concerned, that was a conclusive enough test. It may be different on HD collection. I highly doubt it, but it could be the case.
I'd say further testing is needed.
When I get myself a PS3 again, you can guarantee I'll be on that. So again, this is another place where it could go either extremely wrong or extremely right, and that is Swim Glitch and Vamp.
No, I don't believe either one of these guys is going to go for the swim glitch.
Oh, neither of the Plywood hasn't, no.
But yeah, Vamp 1 is going to be interesting
Yeah.
to see. Does Plywood know he's in the lead? Does he know how much he is? How much of a lead he has? Would it be worth going for this lethal Vamp? Or is that something you keep up your sleeve if you're trying to make up ground?
Yeah. I don't know. I
Um,
mean, I've seen Plywood be pretty consistent with his lethal vamp, but it's one of those things. Again, if he messes it up, it could be devastating for him, and it could give Matt just what he needs to come back into it.
I can tell you, in that MGS1 tournament, Plywood never downshifted in the finals and throughout most of the tournament. If he's got the gear, he'll leave it in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you're ahead and you feel confident in yourself, why take the safer strat to slow yourself down? If you're feeling confident in your ability, there's no need to.
Of course, it looks like Plywood's dropping frames again. Unfortunately, on his end, nothing I can do to fix that.
Plywood is indeed going for that lethal vamp. We're running about 10 frames a second now.
Oh, a low controller battery.
He messed it up. Lost it right at the end. That's unfortunate. This could give Mac just what he needs now.
I'll have to apologize. Most of that was I'm dropping a lot of frames on him right now.
His stream's fine for me. I don't know what it is. Mac going for the lethal vamp strat as well. Mac unfortunately gets trolled by that last little bit of vamp as well. Nothing he can do about that.
Yeah, it's a shame when you get that close
Yeah.
and
got
he
a
just
headshot
slips
on
out
him,
of it.
though.
Like the frame rate on both their streams is stabilized. Still a lot to worry about coming up, though. Maybe not so much on the Emma escort, but once you get into Arsenal, the Tengu 1 could be a sticking point for these guys. I don't imagine any continues, but if you have any trouble getting through that door, it'd be a real hassle.
Oh yeah. It's like that's another room with there's so many different strats and routes you can take. Just in that first room of Arsenal gear.
Mac is now on his way with the Emma escort.
Yeah, he's closing that gap ever so slightly. But there is plenty of room for error on both parts. Oh, plywood hitting the bomb. That's unfortunate. Going back for the A though.
Back up for some air there. Fortunately, on normal, you and Emma can take that damage.
Yeah. That's something on EUEX that is game over, unfortunately.
But as it is, yeah, Emma still runs out of oxygen, and you're gonna start taking down her health bar. He goes up for air a second time there.
Yeah,
Make up
because
for
of
that
how
bomb.
low. Otherwise, Emerald
Is,
starts sitting down and just make his general shell to a lot slower.
Curious to see how he does his teleportation here coming up.
Yeah.
Is he gonna go lethal, non-lethal? Mac squeaking around that bomb there. That underwater mine is trouble. Got to
Fortunately
get
for
under the
Mac.
door, but then you got to swim almost straight up.
He's going lethal, plywood is. The slower of the two ways to do that room, but overall the safer way to do that room.
It's like the fun way to do the room too.
Yeah, murder everybody. That's something you
Get
don't
to-
see in a speedrun.
Pull out that AKS 74U.
Oh,
He's in
he's got
trouble with
to
that guard.
go over to the other side though, because the guards are coming
Pretty-
through. He gets, aside from that though, he gets through without any major problems.
That's
He-
really showing some clutch experience.
Yeah. Getting an alert there is pretty much game over. You've got to kill yourself to reset that room.
We've already seen this tournament. And that's the teleportation, named after the guy who spent the time figuring this one out.
Yeah.
It had been known for a while, but exactly how to do it was the part that needed to be worked on.
Yeah.
See what happened, but it looks like Mac is for evasion.
Yeah, he's just knocked Emma down. This is a section that was quite fun with my large skips test in a Metal Gear Solid 2, where if you have a high enough key card and attempt to go to this room before Emma, you could just get put in a small box room with absolutely no textures and a tiny amount of collision.
Yeah, I think those guys who are trying to find loading zone skips have probably tried every door.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Well-
unfortunate thing about it is the room just hasn't quite loaded yet.
Yeah, it's because it just goes off in-game flags. Like a lot of areas of the game load and unload. Like as soon as you complete Harrier, the entirety of Shell 1 unloads, apart from that bridge. So even if you could clip back, there's no loading zone available to get back into Shell 1 at that time. And then as soon as you enter, I think it's Strut L with Emma, as soon as that last shot is taken to Vamp, the entirety of Shell 1 reloads in and Shell 2 unloads. Quite interesting the way this game replaces load zones and culls things in and out. And that's something as well that's not exclusive to the HD collection port, that's on all versions.
Somebody in chat wants to know if Pentasmin makes Emma's O2 last longer.
Allegedly it does. There's been some things online written about it. There's nothing I've seen to suggest that otherwise, like it is a fact or it isn't a fact. It's just something that hasn't been tested and is one of the things that's on my long list of things to test. But I mean, from my guess, knowledge of the game, probably not. But it's something that's untested, so I can't say for sure.
Not really a benefit to the speedrunning, even if it did, because it would be an extra menu.
Yeah, it'd actually waste this time due to the extra menu. Like, as long as you don't take damage from that bomb, you get through that room with enough health on Emma to not sit down anyway, so you don't waste time.
Yeah, you can see Emma's got a full health bar on Plywood screen,
Yeah,
even though he hit
exactly.
the bomb. So, I mean, maintaining her O2 gauge is just not beneficial, and all I can really say is I've never tried. So, but yeah, even if it did, there wouldn't be any benefit. That Emma could, even if you
She's
don't
a
go up for
tank.
air, and she, her O2 goes all the way down. It's never really slowed her down. Just like you said, she'll sit down more often when you let go of her hand.
Yeah. That's the only thing, that's the main reason you can't hit a bomb and then not go up for it. Because Emma will survive, but she will constantly sit down, making the entire strat just more of a pain. Especially the old strat where we used to have to maneuver around the guards and take Emma with us the entire way. It's just such a pain.
Plywood picking out a bird there on accident.
He's going to get a codec from Rose if he's not careful.
Sometimes they just happen to get right in the way. Just a little bit of collateral damage.
Especially that one on Shell 1-2. Always manages to fly in front. Every damn time.
It really does. It's like it's programmed to.
Yeah. It's a bullet homing bird.
Really good runs out of these two so far. Very few mistakes.
Yeah. Apart from that mishap at hold one, Plywood's recovered from that extremely well. And Mac is doing his best to bring it back and close that gap ever so slowly, but surely.
As Mac takes out a bird as well. It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Mac getting the call from Snake. Plywood enjoying the view with his goggles on.
Let's just thank the Lord that they're not playing this on Sons of Liberty. Otherwise, it'd just be blood red everywhere for all of us.
Yeah, some guys prefer that.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, this was added for the HD collection.
And Substance. It was changing Substance as well.
Oh, was it?
Yep. On Substance PC, we don't encounter that. It's the same one you see now. Because I don't know if you knew or not, but HD Collection is actually a direct port of Substance.
Oh yeah,
It's Substance with upgraded textures. And if you've ever played Metal Gear Solid 2 at 1080p on PC, not even a lot of the textures have been upgraded. It's mainly models and menu items. Menu icons, sorry.
right, because the HD collection is going to be running at 70 or 720, right?
Yeah. You need to use a mod to get Metal Gear Solid 2 to run at 1080p, but still the 1080p textures are about the same as what they are in HD Collection. It's just the menu icons and the font is a lot sharper on HD Collection as opposed to Substance, because that's something that doesn't scale with resolution. Plywood just heading into Vamp 2. Mac not that far behind him.
Probably the briefest boss fight in the game,
Yeah.
at least on normal.
Oh, you just shoot him in the shins, it's fine. Strangely enough, shooting him in any part of the body that's not his head doesn't give him any iframes. Strangely enough.
Yeah, I think casually you'd want to shoot him in the head. Be the
Mhm.
situation where you have a hostage and that seems like your only option.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that no matter what you do, Emma will be stabbed. He's already shot Vamp in the head.
Oh, Plywood, his chaff popping a little bit too late there. That's unfortunate.
Didn't hurt him.
Still good movement going into that door, though. Cartwheel was right on point.
The Mac is finished up. Vamp 2. We head into a pretty important part of the game here. Into Arsenal.
Another section where anything can go wrong. Plywood could totally mess up his Tengu 1 skip, and Mac could get it first try. There's just anything that can go going into Arsenal.
Yeah, I think it's called Genjunum.
Yeah, the
There's
Jejunum.
Genjunum. Plywood went had a little trouble with that in the last run.
Mm-hmm.
He fell through the hole that you
Oh,
typically
no.
cartwheel over, and had an alert. Just barely got through the door, and that was the race with Raichu. So yeah, that
You know this
that could
girl?
be something to keep an eye on.
Remember me, don't you?
And immediately following that, after Snake gives you a sword and lets you do some training, Tengu 1 could be some trouble.
Yeah.
So those are really my keys to the rest of this matchup here. And if I know Plywood, I know he's probably practiced them both.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tengu 1 can be a real sticking point for a lot of these guys who speedrun this game. Because you're going to want to get to that door as quickly as you can, and door skip it, or just get
Oh, with the
barraged
RNG of the
by a whole bunch
guards.
of Tengus.
Yeah, with the RNG of those guards, it could either be extremely easy or extremely hard to get Tengu 1 skip. It's just ridiculous. Plywood zooming in on the codex. Oh, Lord.
Nice close up of Rose's lips. And here we go. Off into Genjunum and Genjunum.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, Plywood holding down select so he can get to this codec as quickly as he can. That way he can roll past this guard. And we go kind of hard on these Tengus because they have poor vision, but if you don't get that codec as soon as you can, he will see you. I think he successfully pulled that off. Acquired codec here. See which direction he goes. He's probably going to go left. Yep.
Yeah, straight across.
Pretty standard route for a lot of these guys, and self included. Wait for that camera. Don't get seen when you can make it over the hole. Oh, he does. Fantastic.
Oh, he didn't roll into the last guard. It didn't matter, though. He got through without getting shot.
I may need to refresh my screen because that was just a little bit ahead of where I'm at.
Mac just heading into the Jejunum now. Hopefully you can get a nice clean path through this room.
Yeah, listen, he's gonna need a clean path through this room.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much starting to run out of time on this tournament.
The only thing that could be a saving grace now really is if Plywood messes up any of the up and coming boss fights. Like if he messes up Tengu and Mac gets it, then Mac should be in the lead, depending how bad Plywood messes it up. Same goes with Rays and Sawdust.
So
It's
far,
just
so good.
it can go either way going into these next few fights. Or these next few sections, I should say,
Yeah,
rather.
I really think it's gonna come down to Tengu 1.
Mhm.
I can't see much happening on Rex.
Rex.
And
Wrong game.
I'm not the first one to call it Rex either. But I should know. I'm not even an MGS1 runner. Ray, Metal Gear Ray.
There we go.
I don't see much going on there. Maybe you could probably make up time, but I don't think you can really blow it.
It's
on the
one
Ray
of
fight.
those ones where it's very hard to get wrong, but if you do get it wrong, it can be devastating and it can put you behind.
Plywood just wrapping up his sword training here. The Mac waits for Snake to give him back his clothes.
He's got fencing training at 5.
Of course, winner of this semifinal race moves on to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
You face either one of these guys is going to be tough to face in Tyler and Pythonicus.
Yeah.
Imagine we're going to do that race tomorrow or Monday. And so far so good here. This is really the race right now, I think. Getting through. He's got one stun left. Going to want to get up to this door here, lay flat against it, and get the PPK.
Oh,
And
first try. Nice.
Easy peasy. That has got to be a huge relief for Plywood,
Yeah.
knowing that part of the run is over.
Because
Really,
that's one of those things, it can put you behind easily 3 or 4 minutes. Like if you're not careful.
Clock is really starting to tick for Mac
is
right
starting
now.
to run out of time now.
The Plywood going with Stinger strat. Nick did all that sword training with you, and Plywood just ignores all of it.
I mean, you got to go with the biggest gun you've got, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got about 40 stingers to start this thing. And they're just going to give you more for that upcoming Ray fight. So why not?
I mean, if you got the ammo there, why not use it, you know?
Mac having a little trouble. As soon as those Tengus stand up, then you auto lock onto them in your first person mode, and that'll pull you away from the door.
He's really
Trying to
in
do is
trouble
get his
there.
leg to just clip through the wall.
There we go.
Yeah, he finally does get it through. He wants his leg to clip through the wall, catch that next room's loading zone.
That is quite the premise of PPKing through those doors is quite an anomaly because in Sons of Liberty, you can do it with just a punch. Just a punch is enough to knock you back into the zones. Bron Substance, you have to do the kick to knock you back. So it's quite interesting as to what they could have changed, if anything, that's made it harder to break through the bounds. It's quite
You
strange.
have to wonder what Blue Point knew, what they felt like it was worth changing.
It's the same in Substance. Like just Substance in general, you have to punch, kick. On Sons of Liberty, it's only a punch. It's quite strange.
It came as a complete surprise when
Because the developers clearly tried to patch out something, but it just didn't work.
using fire to fight fire, creating the perfect assassin to retire Solid Snake's brother. S3 stands for Solid Snake Simulation.
Like
It's a development
Mac is also
program
going with
to
that
officially reproduce
Stinger strat.
Solid Snake, the perfect warrior.
Whatever happened to the good old coolant strats?
Foxhound Commando. When Foxhound no longer exists, a simulated Solid Snake shaped by
Correct me if I'm wrong, but mostly the coolant strat worked in Sons of Liberty, right?
It only works in Sons of Liberty, yeah.
I'm sorry to see you reduced to one of the Patriots' puppets. But I've made use of you, and their plan too.
Luckily, Mac's got some rations stacked up.
Your arrival.
Because he's looking a little bit low on health there.
I had to smoke out the agent before the mission entered the final phase. You came in handy as bait.
Of course, normal difficulty, Plywood's going to have to go through 7 health bars of rays. He doesn't have to take out 7 rays, just 7 health bars
Between life and death.
worth of damage.
Ran from it.
Yes, total damage equated.
By something less
Got 3 rations. He's got plenty of health remaining, so he could be a little risky here if he wants to be. Mac coming in with 4 rations. And you squat, that'll take your health bar up a little ways out of the bleeding zone.
Again, though, he's got 4 rations. I don't think either of them have anything to worry about here. They should be fine.
At this point, Mac is not just hoping for a mistake, but maybe a string of mistakes out of Plywood, and it's just becoming less and less likely.
Well, I mean, we all know how funky Ray's hitboxes are, especially on HDC, so Plywood could get trolled by the Stinger missiles, but the same could happen to Mac here too. That is something, funnily enough, that Ray's hitboxes is something that is exclusive to the Substance due to the texture resolution being increased, but the hitboxes not being changed to accommodate it. The Ray is actually bigger overall than the hitboxes.
Interesting. So the hitbox is still the same size.
Yeah, the hitbox is the same size despite the Rays being a tiny bit bigger due to the texture resolution.
You've got 480 hitboxes on a 720 Ray.
Like, it is a problem if you play Substance at 1080p or 720. I know playing Substance at 480, the hitboxes are fine, but sometimes they mess up at 1080p.
Well, so far so good for Plywood as he makes his way into the Bs.
Mac taking a beating, unfortunately. Just used up his second ration.
He's trying to be as... Anytime you're taking damage like that, it means you're being aggressive.
Wow.
Trying to stand in there and fire off as many shots as you possibly can.
Yeah, he's just got hit by the missiles.
Yeah, Mac knows that he's going to have to pull out all the stops
Yeah, he's
from
just
here out.
interesting strat though. He's just letting them get up close and personal while letting them do the hydro pump and just getting a free crit from them, which could work in his favor, but he's still behind at the minute.
And getting 2 shots off grid is pretty important for him at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's settling down into a nice rhythm now.
Yeah. Oh, he missed the shot there. That's unfortunate.
Plywood makes his way out. It looks like he didn't have any trouble with the save screen.
Yeah. Unless something goes horribly wrong and Plywood dies either of this torture section or it's all this. It looks like this race is his, unfortunately.
Now, if Plywood does make it into the finals, this will be his second finals in 2 tournaments. Of course, he made it into the finals during the MGS1 easy tournament.
He is
Probably one of the best
very
races I've
talented
ever
runner.
seen between him and Tromboncino.
He's just a very talented runner in general. Like, any game that he decides to learn, go out and speedrun, he does it well. and anything he doesn't know how to do, he will make it his. He'll make a big point of going out of his way to learn it, which is very credible. He's just a fantastic runner overall.
Somebody made a pretty good point in chat. I wonder if he plugged in his controller. Not everybody's got the cable laying around.
Oh yeah, of course.
Or sometimes you go to look for it and you can't find it.
Yeah.
Is it this one? They all kind of look the same. Is it Samsung cord? Is it the?
Oh, imagine that. Imagine.
Yeah, the PS3's DualShock 3 actually gets a pretty good battery life, and so battery is low doesn't it just doesn't happen all that much.
No. Remember with my PS3, I didn't think my controllers ever died when I was using my PlayStation. I think my PS3 itself actually died before the battery of my controller did.
Here we go.
Oh, Plywood taking a kick there.
He's using a modified version of the Hero Extreme strat.
Well, it still works, you know?
Yeah, he gets 2 slashes off when he crosses his sword and then goes to the his blind side, and instead of punching twice, he gets 2 slashes in. Pretty efficient.
That's
quite
one
clever.
of those things. Oh, knocked him down. That's unfortunate.
But
it's one of those things. If we do it well, there's point of changing it. It works and it works well. It's a good loop.
Yeah, just like on EE, you can see how just awful this camera is.
Yeah.
The fixed camera that's supposed to be kind of cinematic, going from overhead to some sweeping pans.
It's very impractical.
Yeah, for being consistent here in the Solidus fight, it really is infuriating.
Oh, Plywood going first person there.
The Mac is on his way. Phase 1 of Solidus, as Plywood is just wrapping up Phase 2.
Plywood. Let's just hope to God Plywood doesn't get credits freeze.
Yeah, that is the thing.
That is a very real danger.
We've talked about it quite a bit in the other rounds, but never really came to an agreement to go by RTA, so he's gonna have to get to the score screen
Oh,
to win this thing.
Solid game. They do not get timed off RTA. Like, you've got a very, very reliable in-game timer, so there's no real need to use RTA. And neither of them are timing RTA on screen now, so even if we decided to settle on it, there's no way of getting an accurate representation. That was a very good run from Plywood, though. Aside from his little mishap in Hold 1, it was a very good run.
He hates when I say this, but Plywood is really just moonlighting here in MGS2.
Yeah.
It's isn't typically his game, but here he is on his way to the finals once again.
Talking about the baby?
The deserved place in the final. Again, he's just a talented runner at any game he decides to put his mind to, which is amazing.
It's up to us to teach that.
So I'm real curious to ask him about that power chord once we get to the interview, and I'll let you talk to Plywood, and I'll do Mac with the interview.
Alright.
As soon as these boys get done with the credits.
Sorrow, joy. We'll tell them everything together.
Is that a proposal?
This is for you.
Mac
Matt's
is
finishing up now too.
only.
his way into the final cutscene.
That was a very close race, though. Just unfortunately for Mac, Plywood just had that tiny little bit of an edge.
I gotta imagine that neither one of these guys are disappointed with their runs.
No.
Anytime you show up for a race and you put down your best run, you gotta feel good about that.
Yeah, exactly. Very little went wrong. Like Plywood had the mishap in Hold One, and Mac had a mishap just before Guard Rush and Deck C, but that was about it. There was one room that was bad per se, if you want to even call it that. But still, it was just a very strong run for both of them. Amazing to watch.
Yeah, it kind of makes the interview a little tough, doesn't it? Not much we
Yeah.
can criticize them on. But yeah, still looking forward to hear what these guys have to say about their runs.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You know yourself, being in a run, like running through yourself, you can pick up on things that you think you've done wrong, as opposed to other runs you've done a lot better than anybody watching you can. You know, so it's just one of those things.
Again, a lot of support from that Mac
Yeah.
pack,
Mac.
the subscriber core. Lots of support from Plywood's lumberjack crew. This has been like I always tell people this, but these are the best. These close races, crazy chat.
Just gives you a lot to talk about and a lot to analyze as well.
Yeah, I mean they're all. I really enjoy doing these tournaments and commentating, and talking to the runners and organizing this. But yeah, this is really what it's all for. So yeah, shout out to both of those subscriber groups.
Yeah.
For showing
Really coming full force today from both sides.
Yeah, really showing their undying support. Incredible. Both runners have made it past the point that it usually would freeze credits, so I'm more than sure now we will see a score screen on both these guys.
It's still unknown what the cause of credits freeze is as well.
It's real debatable. I had it on my first PS3, same disc. Never happened to me on my on the second one that I got.
Looking at it from my knowledge of crashes and just general knowledge about through the hardware and etc., it looks like a hardware crash. Audio doesn't loop if it's a soft crash. If it's a soft crash, audio will continue. But
it happens crash at the same point on every. It's not like everybody has a disc that's scratched in the same spot.
Exactly. It's something to do with, like you said, you use the same disc and it only happened on the old console. Looks like it could be something to do with the disc drive, but again, it's something that we can't actively test, unfortunately.
I'm not a programmer or a developer of any sort, but my theory is that the 120 gigabyte console is the one everybody likes to run on. It does slightly faster loading screens.
Yeah,
and that was the console that was on the retail market when they were developing this game for the HD remaster. So I just have a feeling that it's just what they optimized it to was what was available at the time. So really just a working theory, but back when this game was being developed or for the remaster.
It's one of those things. It could be anything. It could literally be anything. There's no definitive way for us to test it either. It's just one of those things. You got to pray to God it doesn't happen.
Yeah, we talked to, I can't even think of his name now, but during AGDQ we had a fellow that was working for Bluepoint in QA.
Oh right, that's pretty cool.
On the HD collection, and we probably asked so many questions he couldn't answer them all, but the general point that he made out was they didn't want the game to crash. That was mostly a success for them to get through and get it to. They wanted to be. He said they wanted to be real faithful to the original game as much as they could, but it was important that it didn't crash.
Oh yeah, you've got to have a steady port. That is one thing Bluepoint does pretty well. I mean, overall, HD Collection is a stable port. If it's a good port is up for debate, but it's stable, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it looks good. I think to the casual eye, it's going to be the better way to play the game.
Fine. Looks great.
especially on modern TVs. PS2 looks pretty dated in 480p.
Oh yeah. HD collection on PC when?
So yeah, as soon as these credits are over, we're gonna bring both these guys in and talk about the runs, wrap it up for the day. Typically, my favorite part about the stream is talking to the runners. They've had to do these runs quiet,
Yeah.
without their chat, without any of their usual comforts.
Support. Yeah.
A lot of guys like to run. You know, they like to hang out in the chill lounge or live lounge, as we call it now.
Live lounge.
It's often debatable about what's better, and I think we're mostly streamers. There's not a lot of guys in MGSR that do offline runs.
Yeah.
That's kind of a dated concept now too. That I think there still are guys out there that do offline runs, record them, and never interact with anybody. Post it to YouTube and move on. But I think, yeah, a lot of these guys, especially in the tournament, are active streamers. So that's typically why we do these things, is to get the word out about these great runners.
Yeah, because there's so many runners in there that are just showing great potential across all Metal Gear Solid games, and like a lot of them just don't get the credit they deserve, so to speak, because they are really, really talented runners, but unfortunately the support's not there. But stuff like this helps a lot.
Oh, a very respectable 127.58.
Very
This
nice.
is not, this isn't even a loading trick run, and that's in loading trick run territory.
Yeah.
Two continues. Both those continues happened on hold 1.
Yeah, the same hold.
So yeah, as soon as we can, we're gonna bring in Plywood, and you can go ahead and interview Plywood, and I'll take Mac as soon as you guys are done.
Yep.
Forward to hearing what he has to say. Of course, don't forget about asking about that power cord. We want to know what happened there.
That could have been the make or break if he ran out of battery. And there he is, man of the hour.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
So overall, pretty nice run. I'll give you that. Like Forensic said just now, that's a non-loading trick run, and it's grazing loading trick times. It's a very nice run.
Yep. Faster than my run against Raichu, which was nice.
Yeah. What were you? What do you think you were best and worst points in that run were?
Well, I think the reason why I actually beat my Raichu time, by the way, is just because I did Lethal Vamp, though I kind of screwed up the end. But I mean, the biggest thing was that I made the same. Well, it wasn't the same mistake. It was just a different flavor of mistakes in Hole 1, and yeah, I'm gonna be straight up front with everyone. I actually screamed. I was so mad when it happened the second time, because like I practiced the holds. I tried to make sure I wasn't gonna do anything dumb, and I get caught by the projector and then run too close. And yeah, I still stick to my my guns, that having lag there on PS2 really helps, because like it's a little bit easier making that turn, because the turn otherwise, like if you're trying to go really fast, it's easy to run into that guard sight. But yeah, that was like for me the most frustrating part of the run because it was just like the most frustrating part of the run because it was just like a retread of my match against Raichu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Someone called the screaming. You were totally right. I was actually screaming. And I usually don't scream again. I don't scream when I play games anymore. Sometimes I'll shout, but screaming like that's very rare for me because like once you do a lot of speedrunning, you don't really scream. You might get annoyed or frustrated or like walk away, but screaming it's kind of like because it's like a tournament. Yes. But I mean, I thought that like the run overall was pretty smooth. I think my bomb disposal could have been a little bit better. I had to take some like backup strats a little bit because things didn't exactly go as I wanted them to do a few times. But I mean, the biggest thing about that clockwise bomb order is not to get an alert. If you get an alert, like, and once you get past strut E, the helipad, you can't get an alert. And that's the thing. Like, so if you screw up strut F, if you throw your chaff too late or whatever, and the alert sticks, you're probably going to die. It's that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to take a death abuse. So, but no, I thought like overall the run went pretty well. I don't think it's definitely not beating Tyler worthy. Like that was sloppy in comparison, but it was definitely an enjoyable run, and Mac kept me in check, which is what should happen.
Oh yeah,
and if I make too many mistakes, I should lose.
No, it was a very close race. I think the only thing really that gave you the major edge over Mac was that unfortunate thing for him in Dexy. But he was constantly creeping up time, and like you said, he did keep you in check. It was a very entertaining race to watch overall. Just like you said, there's just little tiny things. This that is the main concern with clockwise bomb though, is because if you go anti-clockwise, you've always got the saving grace of the alert clear on the helipad.
Yep.
And that's just something, unfortunately, you've got to trade the safety.
Yeah, I mean, you trade that safety for the safety of the EF bridge. Mm-hmm. The EF bridge is a lot easier since you have a box. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, like, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah,
in that respect. But yeah, I thought that the beginning of the run was probably the roughest part, and then my mid game was strong. I thought my Fat Man fight, besides like I had to look for him a little bit at the beginning, but once I found him, he went down pretty quick and he went right by the bomb, which is always a plus.
Yeah.
Harrier got 5-shot, which is only thing I really wanted was to get 5-shot, and even if anything, if things went wrong afterwards, that'd be okay. Vamp went ideally. Oh, the other mistake that I made in Raichu's race was the going to strut L perimeter. I fell off that little side, and I had to wait it out again.
Yeah, Forensic said you did that again.
Yeah. So retreads of old mistakes, a little bit annoying, but thankfully, like, you kind of just have to, like, once I got out of tanker, and it was a few minutes, like about 5 minutes into bomb disposal, I started cooling down after like the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an enjoyable race. I think my performance on the latter half was a lot stronger.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And the first try on Tengu 1 skip was like super nice.
Oh yeah, that was something that me and friends were discussing. Is if you messed up Tengu 1, that would have been ample time for Mac to come straight back into it. It was really down to those last 3 or 4 rooms in the end. If you messed up at any point, and Mac did it flawlessly, he could have come back and taken the lead. But unfortunately for him, but fortunately for you, everything towards that those last few rooms pretty much went perfectly. It was next to no mishaps in the last few rooms.
Mishaps were so minor that they weren't gonna like break the bank. So I was like, all right, I don't have to worry too much. I can start relaxing at this point.
Yeah.
Don't have to do anything really ridiculous or stupid. So
yeah, it was really nice run overall, though, man. Congrats on getting into the final.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you come up against either Tyler or Pythonicus.
I don't. I can say that very confidently. I don't, but like I said, my goal going to this turn was to get to the finals. Whatever happens, happens. So
as long as you put into practice the little mistakes you made today, I think you'll perform really well in the finals against whichever one you come up against.
Yeah, if I'm gonna lose, I want to lose gracefully. That's pretty much the whole thing. Like, I want to be able to at least, not be like super far behind if whoever wins the next semifinal, which is gonna be quite the race, and I would say a toss-up, honestly, depending on what tricks each runner has up their sleeves. So
yeah, that was the thing today as well. Like, me and Forensic had no idea which one of you was going to come out on top. It was such a close race all the way through. Like, it was just ridiculous. Just really fun to watch.
You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it, sir.
But yeah, man, congrats. Look forward to seeing you come up against whoever you do in the finals. And we'll see you for the next race now.
Absolutely. Take care, Forensic and Scout. And thanks for commentating. And hope everyone at home enjoyed the race. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Great run, man. And we're going to wait just a sec for Mac to make it into our interview. Haven't quite heard back from him yet, but I do expect he wants to do the interview. It should just be a few minutes.
Yeah.
And there he is.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Usually after a race like that, my heartbeat would be racing. I have to imagine you were probably listening in on the restream. You knew how close it was.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. In one way, I don't know. Maybe it helped to push me, if I'm being honest. But yeah, by the time we got, where was it? Certainly by Tengu 1, I was like, okay, well, he got a first try. That's the end of that. But I mean, even I guess we'll get to that question. But short answer is I'm sweating. My teeth hurt from clenching. And I managed to pull out a 3-minute PB on this run because the last race was my actual PB on HDC for normal. So, I mean, I'm not disappointed in it, but obviously things went wrong, right?
Well, hardly. Zero continues. I mean, usually what I do is I ask you guys about what went wrong, and that's not always the easiest question to ask somebody who's just been eliminated from a tournament. But we think you're a good sport and a class act for coming on and talking to us about it. This time, let me tell you right now, this time you could submit this time on the leaderboards and probably get about 4th place?
Something like that. Yeah, me and Plywood were having a little private discussion in the Speedruns live chat as we were waiting for our credits to finish, and he mentioned that since this time is basically, it's on par with a loading trick time, and I was like, I'm done with HDC, which is what I'm going to be saying a lot. I'll probably repeat it a few times in this interview. I don't like running HDC, but I think what I'm going to end up doing, since this time was as solid as it was, is do one loading trick run, get on the leaderboard, see what I could do, and then be done with HDC. Because, I mean, obviously there's some potential there. My practice today seemed to pay off to a degree. I mean, a sub 130, I didn't suspect at all. And I certainly didn't suspect to be within like a minute and a half of Plywood. I thought this was going to be a sweep. And it felt good that I at least kept some pressure on him. That is an achievement enough for me.
Yeah, you absolutely did. This was I always tell people this, but I love calling these close races. I know it's probably not as much fun to be in a close race like that. At least for your heart and your teeth. I know I've felt some pain in my jaw after a couple of races that are that close. And yeah, we just looked, and if you were to submit this one onto the leaderboards, you'd be in 5th place, the fastest non-loading trick run on the board.
Hey,
so
next, except for plywood's time, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
But yeah, still some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, and really, you got out of tanker right off the bat. Of course, no continues. I'm sure that felt pretty good. I think you had an alert or something that happened in maybe deck C.
Yeah, see, as I was coming up against that first guard there that you like to trank, I'm used to VE where that's really it's loose. You fire off one shot, he goes down, and I keep carrying on. I pulled it off fine on my last run, and in most practices, I think I've only gotten alerted there once before. But sure enough, Plywood was mentioning that I fired a little bit too early. Got the alert and then got kicked in the face 3 times. And at that point, I did say out loud, "This race is over." And in a way, I was right because I stayed about that far behind the whole time. Luckily for me, Plywood ended up getting 2 continues after ladder glitch, but which helped catch me up a little bit. But without that, if it wasn't for that grace of God that he struggled through getting past that projector, which I'm sure he never has trouble with, this would have been a huge sweep for him. So yeah, that was kind of the beginning of the end. I felt like I was tilted at that point. I started making silly mistakes. I ended up having a somewhat sloppy guard rush compared to what I'm used to. So my whole tanker just felt off. And I could hear you guys commentating and mentioning that I'm probably going to go for 2-shot pictures, which will help. I've always done 2-shot pictures. I literally, if you asked me to do 3-shot pictures, wouldn't even know where to start. So, yeah, like that helped. But that getting hit in deck C with that alert was definitely kind of, in a weird way, the beginning of the end, but it definitely put the pressure on me to, okay, I practiced the shit out of Harrier. Pardon, I'm swearing. I practiced the hell out of Harrier. I practiced the hell out of Lethal Vamp, so I've got to go for those. There's no question. I got to try, see if I can get them, and yeah, I hung in there, and that's all I could ask for.
Yeah, interesting that Plywood was not the only one who had to yell in in tanker.
Yeah, and tanker of all places.
Well, that's that I always kind of mention that in my keys to the race is that you just want to get through tanker. I mean,
yeah.
Would you agree that you feel a lot better once you get into plant, once your tanker's behind you? Plant is there's a little bit of housekeeping to be done. You're just freezing bombs. Fairly easy route that you're going along.
Yeah, if losing basically any time loss in tanker is like it's a weird, like, I don't know, like an itch that I need to scratch trying not to reset. The smallest thing that goes wrong in tanker. I know most of my viewers don't care when I reset, but I mean, if I accidentally, or alert the camera, for example, I want to reset. Have a right Olga at this point, I feel like resetting on tanker. And I know that's ridiculous because it's such a small part of the full run, but yeah, like you said, once you get out of tanker and with the time that you're at least satisfied with, it feels like a load off. As soon as that plant cutscene starts loading, you're like, all right, let's do a run. And I feel like I'm more flexible on what I'm allowed, the mistakes that I'm able to make in order to have the run go. So it's definitely tricky when I do something in tanker that's a guaranteed reset, like getting an alert in deck C, to just go and keep going. Just like Plywood screaming, on getting alerted twice in holds 1 is like, this is an automatic reset. So continuing on from that point hurts. Like, it almost physically hurts. But that's racing. That's what racing is. You got to take it and go.
Well, and I'd like to tell you that with more experience in racing, that it gets easier. But I still yell during races. I still sweat. My jaw still hurts afterwards. So yeah, it's not going to get any easier. But experience does prepare you a little bit. But yeah, tanker, getting out of tanker, it feels so good, especially if you had no continues, and even with that alert, you guys were still pretty darn close. You really had a chance after tanker to stay on him, and you did. You never let up after that point. Of course, you had 0 continues, but after those 2 continues for plywood, he never had any after that.
No,
and it looked like you went for the lethal strat on Vamp.
I did. I like plywood. In my pre-race stream there, I was practicing a couple of the key things that I needed to practice were Harrier and lethal Vamp. Now, and like plywood, lethal Vamp, I found after a lot of practicing, not as much as I'm sure as other people, but for me at least, those last 3 shots to get lethal Vamp are incredibly just I don't know the word finicky. Like it's hard. The new strat that Raichu actually seems to have, we've been calling it the Raikou, which is basically to get past the stinger leg. We're watching that red of the bar from the previous shot. As soon as it starts to go down, you fire your next shot. That timing cue works like a charm, and it's beautiful until those last 3 shots. Those last 3 shots are. I haven't figured it out. There's probably something that makes them free, as Tyler would say. Tyler thinks it's free, but to me, it's hard. And it's been pulling teeth. I got all the way to that last shot and then I lost it. So it was either drop in the water and go for lethal Vamp or for non-lethal as a backup, or, try and get the headshot with the SOCOM, which I managed to pull off, thankfully. But yeah, lethal Vamp, it's pretty much the way to go at this point, I think, if you're looking for a competitive time. Yeah, if you got the stingers for it, that is. Neither of us went for a swim glitch, but I don't think either of us actually picked up stingers anyway. We just managed to have enough at the end of our Harrier fight. So, but yeah, lethal Vamp, I think, is the way to go going forward, regardless of console. On PC, it's a lot easier to do as well. I think it's even easier on PC, but we'll talk about PC if we ever do a race then. Or you can come to my stream, because that's all I do.
Yeah, speaking of PC, I'm sure you're probably glad to make the transition back to the game you're probably more comfortable with.
I'm very, very excited to go back to running very easy on PC. With that said, like I said, I will probably try to do at least one loading trick run for HDC, because this is the most competitive difficulty on the most competitive platform, and I would like to have a time in it, because this is the first game that I've taken seriously as a speed run. I did a little bit of Resident Evil 5, but since then, nothing. And then this game, I've sunk my teeth into. I don't know what it is the last 4 months, but this is a really, really fun game to speed run. And I encourage anybody who's watching who hasn't tried running this game, considering speed running something, pick this game up, because it's awesome. It's a great speed run to just get started with. The movement feels good. It's not crazy difficult to get a half decent time. And it's fun. It's a fun game.
I've got to ask you about your Mac pack, and I think we talked about it a little bit last time, but what are you sending these guys? Free merch, or energy drinks, free subs?
I have no idea.
Yeah, they show up every time, and they spam your name and your emote in our chat. And so I just gotta imagine that that you've got some real fans out there, and
I've gotta honestly, they will tell you that it's the beard. Probably it's just apparently I've got some beard fans out there. But if I knew the secret as to what makes them so great, I would share it with everybody, because it's amazing. If I had to wager a guess, a lot of these folks actually came. Most of us, not all of us, a lot of them are new to my stream, but a good portion of us met in Bakba Soup's stream. So, and he's got a crazy community, and I've sort of piggybacked off of that community. When I started streaming, a lot of those people came over because they knew me from there. And he's already got an amazing community of super friendly, supportive, just great people. And I'd love to say it's all me, but I honestly have to give that dude a little bit of credit. But I don't know what I'm doing, but I love them all, and I'm glad that they follow me around and spam my T-Rex. That's actually a solid snake T-Rex, by the way. It's hard to tell, but that's what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I've got to blow that up and take a look at it. But yeah,
he's
now of
wearing
course,
an M4. He's got a bandana. He's got blue eyes. That's Solid Snake as Rexy, specifically from Jurassic Park. It's not any T-Rex. It's Rexy Snake.
And of course, we don't allow cameras or overlays or Twitch alerts or anything when we do these restreams. But yeah, you're gonna want to go check out this guy on his channel. That's MackMcD with an underscore. I always gotta give a shout out to my underscore brothers because we had two of them going head to head today. We had Plywood with his underscore and my underscore, and of course you're an underscore guy too. And maybe someday we'll be able to change our names and get the original ones, but at least for now we are those underscore brothers. And of course, if you do go check out Mac on his channel, what can we be expected to see in the future here? Some more easy runs? What else are you into?
Almost guaranteed what's going to be happening immediately. We'll be going back into VE. I'm shooting for a sub 108, hopefully world record. They are world record attempts. I had it. Tyler took it because that's what he does. I'm looking to get it back, at least temporarily. That's what I want to do first. And as soon as I get that, or if I get a sub 108, whichever, I haven't decided when I'm going to cut myself off. We'll be doing Metal Gear Solid casual story playthroughs, which is what I started doing on my stream. Chronological order, similar to OHN, but not nearly as in-depth and not with a guy who's nearly as good at playing them. Metal Gear Solid 2 will be a cutscene percent speedrun at this point, because why the hell not? But yeah, we'll be starting with 3, then 5, then 1, 2, 4, and then probably right back to Metal Gear Solid 2 speedruns.
Cool, man. I think this game is really fun to speedrun, but I also recognize that it has a huge fan base that does like to see the cutscenes, and I look forward to checking that out on your stream. And one last question before we go. It's been a pleasure to have you on and a pleasure to have you in this tournament. And unfortunately, this is the last time I'm going to get to interview, but is there anybody you want to shout out to?
Definitely the Mac Pack, Plywood for sure, for putting up a hell of a fight, man. Like I knew coming into this, I came into this, feeling like pretty much knowing I was going to be on the losing end of the race. But I'm pretty happy with how well I did. Thanks, Plywood, for being, not just a great opponent, but also being very, very helpful in learning this game. All of the Metal Gear Solid speedrunning community, or the MGS2 speedrunning community specifically, you guys for putting this on. My previous opponent, I didn't shout him out last time, Jesus Juice. Go follow that guy. His stream's amazing. And he hung in there, even though it was his, I think, second or third ever run that he'd ever completed. Just crazy, courage on his part for even entering the tournament. So definite shout out to Jesus Juice. And yeah, Forensic, Scout, everybody that helps put this thing on. Raichu also has been really, really helpful with learning this. Basically, all you guys, specifically you guys, and everybody else that has a Rexy Snake in the chat right now, because you guys are going in. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for supporting me. We're not done. Give me another tournament that's not European Extreme, and I'll show up.
I can guarantee you that there's more tournaments in the future, and you're a super cool guy, and we can't wait to see more from you.
Well, thank you very much. How sweet. All right, you guys take care. Thanks again.
Take it easy, bud. All right, and that wraps it up for today. An excellent win on Plywood's part. Mac really made him work for it, and we've got confirmation that the next run, and I've got the bracket up right now. The next run in this semifinals left to go is going to be with Tyler and Pythonicus, and we're going to do that one on Tuesday evening. So I don't have an exact time, but I imagine it's going to be a similar time to the time that we started at today, which was 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I know that's kind of hard for guys like yourself, Scout, who are over in the UK. And what time is it over there right now?
4 a.m.
Okay, so yeah, maybe one of these tournaments we could actually run at a decent time. But I know Pythonicus is a working man, and he's got to go to work, and so he's going to come home and do the tournament as soon as he can. But I'd expect maybe Tuesday at 5 or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard, which is the time that I go by and easiest for me to convert. But yeah, of course, if you haven't already followed this channel, go ahead and do that. And a shameless plug for our Discord. This is where you're going to find out all the information about future tournaments. But and also times and stuff when we're going to go live. So if you are a fan of MGS speedrunning, go ahead and give that a join. You don't even have to be a speedrunner to hang out and have a good time and listen to our endless banter. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. I really hope there's a chance in the future where I can do another commentate another one with you, Scout, because I think you did an excellent job.
Thanks, man. It's just nice to have some time and to be offered to do this. It's a real great pleasure. Thank you again.
Yep, and that is it for us today. Have a good one, guys.
Have a good one.